So apparently there's this game called Observer System Redo, and it's a thing. Welcome to the channel. It's Lord Pog Gaming, and I'm your host, Lord Pog. And let me be the first to say, sorry that you ended up in my little corner of YouTube. So I've started playing this game called Observer System Redo, which I feel like I have to state that last little part right there, System Redo, because apparently it's I don't want to say a remake, but it's like a rehashing of an older game called Observer. And if my own tongue could get out of the frickin' way of my original Observer came out in 2017, and Observer System Redo came out in 2020. So take that for what you will. So I'll just either call it Observer System Redo, which I don't know how long I'm going to be able to say that whole title without messing it up through the entire video, so I might just call it System Redo. Regardless of whichever I choose, thank you for joining me on this little adventure as I talk about my first impressions of the game since I haven't beaten it yet. And if you like what I do here, please share, like, and subscribe. Yeah, share, like, and subscribe. Yeah, I guess that's the way you word it, but in that order. I don't know. I really do appreciate it though. I think in my last video I asked for like just 10 subscribers because I was almost at 10, and I said, man, if I could just get 10, that's all I could ask for. And boy, I got more than 10, and I've gotten a lot of views, and just thank you everybody for being so gracious upon me, because it can't be easy for y'all. It's definitely charity on your part, so I thank you. I'm real close to getting 20, so if I could set another goal, maybe I could get 20 subscribers now. I don't know. It's really up to you. But thank you so much. You guys have blessed me so much. So on to System Redo. Or Observer System Redo. Whatever. Observer System Redo is it's like a walking simulator with investigation added to it. It's a really interesting premise. It's a pretty cool game. It stars Rutger Hauer, who, if you don't know who that is, he's been in a lot of stuff. I mean, he's really good. I mean, he's been in a lot of good stuff. He's done everything from like horror to like The Hitcher in 1986, which if you haven't seen that movie, check that movie out. He's a madman in that. He's done science fiction horror like Split Second in 1992, which is also a really good movie. He's done campy movies like Blind Fury in 1989 and Hobo with a Shotgun in 2011. He's done action movies like Nighthawk, and believe it or not, he was in Batman Begins in 2005, and in Nighthawks in 1981 he was with Sylvester Stallone. He played in that. So, take that for what you will. He's done period pieces like Flesh and Blood in 1985. But I guess his best movie ever was Lady Hawk, the fantasy movie in 1985. Nah, I'm joking. He was in Blade Runner in 1982, and that with Harrison Ford, and that by far is his best role ever. Blade Runner was a movie directed by Ridley Scott, the same guy who directed the first Alien movie. And it's just a really good movie, man. I know that's not why we're here, so I'm going to try not to get off on a tangent, but let me explain something about Rutger Hauer. right? He plays the villain in that movie, Roy Batty, the guy that Harrison Ford is chasing. And I'll try not to spoil the movie for you, but if you haven't seen it yet, like I said, it came out in 1982. I mean, you've had plenty of time. Join the revolution. Go see Blade Runner, at least the original one. It's really good. And in that movie, Roy Batty, Rutger Hauer's character, he does this monologue, a 42-word monologue that has been titled Tears in the Rain. It was written by a guy named David Peoples, but Rutger Hauer made it his own. And what I mean by that is he kind of just threw out what David Peoples wrote and said, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say what I want to say, and he did. And it is, it's a moving speech. Like, how do I explain it? How do I put it into words? There was a critic named Mark Rowlands, who I don't know who that is, but I'm gonna cite him anyways. He described it as perhaps the most moving death soliloquy in cinematic history. And I really like that word soliloquy. So I wanted to quote this because it is poetic. This speech that Rutger Hauer delivers as Roy Batty, and it's just really good. Yeah, check it out. That's all I can say is just check it out. It is so good. Which brings me to this game, Observer System Redo. It's kind of a love story to movies like this, like Blade Runner and Johnny Mnemonic with Keanu Reeves. Games like Cyberpunk 2077, which I think this game actually came out before Cyberpunk 2077, or at least that game, but I think Cyberpunk's been a thing. So, even before that game's. So, take that for what you will. Also, and I just hiccuped, so my voice might have cut out for a second there. I'm so sorry. I don't know. I try so stinking hard to get a good take. I just and oh, my own body fights. Shadowrun is another good cyber-esque punk game, and just so much more. I mean, there's so many different things like steampunk and stuff like that. I truly believe that this game, Observer, isn't really trying to break the mold or reinvent the wheel as much as it's just trying to say thank you to the genre in of itself. It's kind of its own little love story and or love letter. It's not really a love story. Well, I guess there is kind of a certain kind of love in this game. This will be a spoiler-free deal right here, so I'll do my best not to give away too much of the plot. So if you haven't played it, go out and try it, because it's really good, right? The controls, I will say, are kind of janky. They are kind of janky. The character Rutger Hauer plays, Daniel Lazarski. It's Polish, I believe, because it takes place in Krakow, Poland, I believe. And so if I'm struggling with some of these words, you have to forgive me. My brain is not geared towards other languages other than English, so I'm sorry. I can limp my way through Spanish, but not really. I just know like a few words. I know enough Spanish to get myself in trouble, and I can kind of understand Italian and French too. But I mean, like, yeah, if you just break into 40 miles per hour in one of those languages, I am gonna get lost real quick. I'm gonna fall right off that horse. So there you go. But regardless, let's not get off on a tangent. We promised ourselves, Pog. Daniel Lazarski, he's a detective, and he's kind of a special kind of detective, right? He's got this cybernetic crap just embedded in his body that helps him with his investigation. So he's, and that's what he's called. He's called an observer. He's like a special kind of investigator. He's a detective on steroids, if you will. And you get caught up real quick in this whole mystery that's taking place in a pretty contained area. Like the map, it's big, but it's really not. Like you're not going all over the city. It's not really open world, but there's a lot, as far as I know. Like I said, I haven't beat the entire game yet. I probably played it for like 3-4 hours or something like that, and I didn't make it. Like, my initial goal was to just play right through it. Just stick to the main plot, do what you gotta do, get through the game so you can give this review. And I got sidetracked by all the side mysteries and things like that, and it is what it is, and it's like what one commenter said in the comments of my Dead by Daylight video, which if you haven't checked that out, shameless plug, go ahead and do that. They said, not gonna lie, I just don't think you're very good at this game. And I said, well, that's a pretty legitimate take on the matter. Yeah. So I mean, it's legitness. So yeah, it just wasn't gonna happen. I just wasn't gonna make it through. When I beat it, I'm gonna continue playing it. When I beat it, I'll come back and revisit this and tell you what my final thoughts are, because things can have a strong beginning and a real trash end. Of course, you can flip that. Sometimes things have a pretty weak beginning, but by the end of it, you're just like, wow, that's actually really good. So it just all depends. So far, the beginning's been real good, but like I said, going back to the original point, the controlling on that game is pretty janky, but I think they do it on purpose because there's this whole plot point of Daniel Lazarski is like losing touch with reality, and I won't really go much more in depth to that, but I think some of that jank is done on purpose. At least I believe so. Other than that, though, like, despite the jankiness of the controls and the fact that it is a walking simulator, there's a lot of walking and there's really not like a lot of fighting going on. I've never felt threatened for my life, per se, while playing the whole game. I never thought, oh, I'm in a situation where I may die. But with that said, it's kind of a scary game, too. There's a few jump scares in that game that, got me. They weren't cheap. I mean, I legitimately almost threw... How many times have I said legitimate, by the way? Does anybody know? Please start counting and let me know in the comments. You said legitimate this many times. Read a dictionary. Anyways, they're not cheap jump scares. These jump scares actually got me really good. I almost threw the controller a couple of times. I'm not even gonna lie, like they just got me. I was like, whoa, so it's really good. I mean, it's pretty good, and despite the janky controls and the fact that it's kind of slow, and there's some open-endedness to some of the side stuff that you kind of wish you had a better is the word I'm looking for resolution? I wish it resolved. Resolved. That's the word. Resolved some of these side mysteries, side missions. Pick your poison. A little bit better. With that said, the plot is still really good, though. It's still really good. So it somewhat is a nice balance. It evens itself out. It really does. And the score. The music in it is really good. It's really good. I really liked it. There's a couple of times you go to this nightclub, and like I said, I know the game takes place in in like a small area, if you will. But again, without spoiling it, you kind of get to go places and you see this nightclub from a couple of different perspectives. And I tell you what, the song that they play, the music that they play for that nightclub, it slaps. I liked it. I was like, man, yeah. Like I turned it up a little bit, was kind of bobbing my head and wasn't moving at all. I was just letting the music kind of go and just enjoying myself a little bit for a minute. Because the game is pretty dark. It's kind of depressing, and it is not for kids. What I mean by that is don't play this in front of your children. There's a couple of it's pretty graphic. Like I said, there's not violence in the sense where I felt threatened for my life, but there is violence in it, and there's just other subject matter that is just not for kids. So, and because I'm a square, Huey Lewis and the News said it's hip, and so I'm pretty hip because I'm square, right? And I try to be as wholesome as I can for my kids, and so I wouldn't play it in front of your children. If that's a concern for you, fair warning right there, explicit content. Other than that though, we're adults. I'm an adult. I know that there's violence and things like that in the world. So it's not offending me. It's not over the top offending me. There are some things I do have a line in the sand, right? Where I'm like, whoa. Whoa. And that is a hill I will and live in. Will. It's a good game. It's a good game. I like it so far. Like I said, when I make it all the way through, I'll revisit this and give you my final thoughts on it. But until then, you give it a shot. Tell me what you think. I really like playing Grandpa Howard, as I like to call him. They make him look pretty young in that game, but I mean, you could just tell by his voice acting that he's up there in age. And actually, when I played System Redo, see, I haven't played Vanilla Observer, just Observer. I've only played System Redo. At the beginning of it, it says in loving memory of Rutger Hauer, and that freaked me out. I was like, no way! I had no idea the man had passed away. I mean, he's been in so much stuff. Like I said, he was in Batman Begins. And he's the guy that tries to steal the company away from Bruce Wayne and fires Lucius Fox. And then, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Batman Begins. But yeah, he's kind of like the villain of the company, if you will, of Wayne Enterprises and whatnot. Because he does a lot of villain work. He's one of those actors where he's either like a crazy good guy, right? He's just like, he's a good guy, but he's just out there like in Hobo with the Shotgun. Or he's a villain like in Nighthawks or with Sylvester Stallone or Blade Runner, for instance. Or he's a good guy, or he, I don't want to say a good guy, but he's like obscure with his morals. I don't know. I know there's a word for it, but I'm just going to say that. We're just going to combine two words to make it make sense, right? He's ambiguous with his morality. That's the word. Ambiguous with his morality. Like, good or bad, you like him. So you're rooting for him. And he's like that in a few of his movies. But, check him out if you haven't seen a lot of his movies. You've seen him in stuff, I guarantee you. If you've ever seen Sin City by Robert Rodriguez? Yeah, Robert Rodriguez. Frank Miller's Sin City. A hill I will live and die on. So, regardless of that, though, this game hasn't pressed those kinds of buttons. So I've been enjoying it a whole lot. If you haven't played it, give it a shot. Come back and tell me what you think of it in the comments. I'm sure you'll beat it before I do. You could listen to this like a week from now and probably still beat it before I do. Robert Rodriguez's Sin City. he plays the priest that Mickey Rourke crushes his head. So, man, I'm gonna tell you like how he dies in every movie and blah blah blah, and then you're gonna have no reason to watch it. So, I mean, you're welcome. You're welcome, right? Nah, check him out though. Uh, Rest in peace, Rutger Hauer. Sorry I didn't know. You know that Tears in the Rain. That's a good speech. It gave me goosebumps personally, and it was weird because I saw it as a kid. You know, the movie came out a year before I was born, and I probably shouldn't be telling you that because it dates me, but whatever. And I knew as a child watching it, it gave me goosebumps just watching it. I think I first saw that movie when I was 7 years old. And even at 7 years old, it gave me goosebumps. And I just kind of felt like I had just heard something important. There's a deeper meaning in that speech. And it's cool that he took that and said, I'm gonna say something. And I'm gonna stick with the movie, but I'm gonna also make it relate to like actual life. And that's cool, man. That's cool. It's a good game. He does a good job in it, and give it a shot. Well, that's about all I got for now. So if you are feeling so generous, if you are feeling so kind, and Lady Luck is with me, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to grow this channel. I'm trying to do the best that I can, and I just appreciate you all. To all my subscribers, thank you. You've blessed me. To all the people who watch, and even if you don't subscribe, you watched, and thank you. You've blessed me. To anybody who would leave a comment, or to anybody who wouldn't leave a comment, just the fact that you're here. Thank you. Thank you all so much. And I'm going to keep trying to get better. I'd like to say that I won't disappoint you, but as this video has probably shown, that promise is way out. So we'll see y'all later, and y'all come back now.